Imagine this. It's 1959. 9 experienced.
Young hikers, full of life and adventure, set off into the icy wilderness of Russia's Ural Mountains.
They were students and graduates from the Ural Polytechnical Institute, all seasoned in long-distance ski treks.
This was supposed to be a challenging but rewarding expedition, aiming for Otorten, a mountain whose name, in the local Mensa language, means "don't go there," a chilling premonition perhaps. Their leader, Igor Dyatlov, was a skilled outdoorsman. His team was just as capable. They packed their gear, said their goodbyes, and ventured into the vast snowy expanse, expecting to return in a few weeks. They never did.
Their last known camp was found on a slope known as Kolatsayakal, or Dead Mountain. The scene that greeted rescuers was beyond baffling. It was the beginning of a mystery that would endure for over 60 years. The group's tent was discovered, but it was bizarrely sliced open from the inside. It was as if something terrifying had made them flee in a blind panic without even stopping to put on their shoes or proper winter clothing. They ran out into the brutal, sub-zero Siberian night, some barefoot, dressed only in their sleepwear. Why? What could possibly scare 9 seasoned hikers so much that they would abandon the relative safety of their tent for certain death in a blizzard?
The search party followed the footprints in the snow. They led down the slope towards a dense forest.
The first 2 bodies, Yuri Krivonishenko and Yuri Doroshenko,
were found under a large cedar tree, about a mile from the camp. They were stripped down to their underwear. Nearby were the remains of a small fire. It seemed they had desperately tried to climb the tree, perhaps to escape something, or to get a better view. Their hands were raw and scraped. But the cold alone didn't seem to be the full story.
A few hundred yards away, the bodies of Igor Dyatlov, Zineda Komogorova, and Rustem Slobodin were discovered.
They were found in poses that suggested they were trying to crawl back to the abandoned tent.
They had perished from hypothermia, but Slobodin had a fractured skull. It was a significant injury, yet it wasn't considered fatal. Still, the mystery was only deepening. Where were the other 4 hikers?
For 2 long months, the search continued, a desperate hunt in a landscape that seemed determined to keep its secrets.
Then, in May, after the snow had begun to melt, the remaining 4 were found in a ravine, buried under more than 10 feet of snow. And this is where the story takes its darkest, most inexplicable turn.
Lyudmila Dubinina, Alexander Kolevatov, Nikolai Thibault-Brignol, and Semyon Zolotaryov had suffered horrific internal injuries.
Thibault-Brignol had a massive skull fracture. Dubinina and Zolotaryov had multiple broken ribs. A doctor who examined them compared the force of their injuries to that of a high-speed car crash. But here's the truly disturbing part. There were no external signs of trauma.
No bruises, no soft tissue damage.
It was as if they had been crushed by an immense, invisible force.
To make it even stranger, Lyudmila Dubinina was missing her tongue and eyes. Investigators were stumped.
The initial conclusion was that a compelling natural force had caused their deaths. That's it.
A vague, unsatisfying explanation for one of the most chilling events of the 20th century.
This official ambiguity only fueled a firestorm of speculation that has burned ever since. The case was abruptly closed, and the files were classified, hidden away from the public for decades.
The message was clear: stop asking questions.
But people couldn't stop. The details were just too strange to ignore. Let's talk about some of the bizarre evidence.
Some of the hikers' clothing was found to be radioactive. Not dangerously high levels, but enough to be considered unusual. Where did this radiation come from? Was it from a secret military test?
Some have theorized that the hikers stumbled upon a secret weapons test, perhaps a parachute mine or a radiological weapon, which would explain the internal injuries and the radiation. This theory suggests a government cover-up, explaining why the files were classified and the investigation was so hastily concluded. It's a compelling idea, but no definitive evidence of military activity in that specific area at that time has ever been proven. Then there are the eyewitness accounts.
Other hiking groups and locals in the region reported seeing strange orange spheres, or lights in the sky on the night of the incident. Were these flares or something else?
This has led to one of the most popular and most sensational theories: an encounter with a UFO. Could an extraterrestrial vehicle have caused the panic, the strange lights, and the crushing injuries? While it's a fascinating thought, it remains firmly in the realm of speculation, lacking any concrete evidence. And what about the missing tongue? Some point to this as evidence of a ritualistic attack, but investigators at the time noted that it was likely due to natural decomposition and scavenging animals, given that the body was found in a stream of running water. So let's explore the more scientific explanations. One of the most prominent modern theories is a rare weather phenomenon known as a slab avalanche. Here is how it would work. The hikers cut into the snowpack to set up their tent on the slope. This could have created a weakness in a heavy layer of snow sitting on top of a weaker layer beneath. Hours later, strong katabatic winds dense, cold air flowing down the slope could have put just enough pressure on the snowpack to trigger a delayed avalanche. It wouldn't have been a massive sweeping wall of snow, but a sliding slab that pressed down on the tent. This would explain the sudden panic. They would have heard a loud crack or felt the snow pressing in, and in the darkness, believing they were about to be buried alive, they ripped their way out of the tent and ran. This also accounts for the crushing internal injuries without external trauma. The sheer weight and pressure of the snow slab could have caused the devastating chest and skull fractures seen on the 4 hikers found in the ravine, who were likely caught in the main path of the slide. The others, who fled in different directions, succumbed to the freezing temperatures. A 2021 study using models from the movie Frozen even showed how this type of specific, small-scale avalanche was indeed possible on that very slope. But what about the radiation? It's been suggested that one of the hikers, who had previously worked at a nuclear facility, could have been the source of the contamination on the clothing. And the strange lights in the sky? They could have been the launch of an R-7 intercontinental ballistic missile, which was documented to have occurred in the region around that time. The puzzle pieces start to fit together, painting a picture not of aliens or secret weapons, but of a terrifying, perfect storm of natural events and human error. Even with the slab avalanche theory gaining traction, it doesn't satisfy everyone. Why did they run so far from the tent? Why did some try to climb a tree? Why the scattered positions of the bodies? These questions keep the debate alive. Perhaps it was a combination of factors. The avalanche initiated the panic, separating the group. In the disoriented chaos of a blizzard, some suffered injuries from the slide, while others, lost and hypothermic, made irrational decisions in their final, desperate moments. The story of the Dyatlov Pass incident is a chilling reminder of the power of nature and the fragility of human life in the face of it. It's a tragic tale of adventure turned to horror, leaving behind a mystery that, even with plausible scientific explanations, continues to haunt us. 60 years later, we are still piecing together the final terrifying moments of those 9 young hikers on Dead Mountain. What do you think really happened? Was it a freak weather event, a military cover-up, or something else entirely? Let me know your theories in the comments below. The truth may be lost to the Siberian snows, but the story of the Dyatlov 9 lives on. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this dive into one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more content. See you next time.